Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television where you, the MSME, get center stage. This is ET Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Tonight on Influencer, we will feature Chakr Innovation, and on Small Giants tonight, PeeSafe. India has 10 of the top 20 most polluted cities globally, and doing its bit to not just reduce that pollution but to come up with innovative solutions around that is Delhi-based Chakr Innovation. It has received several awards for converting pollution into inks and paints, and I caught up with its co-founder to understand what opportunities entrepreneurs can have and should be looking at in this space. Take a listen. Thank you very much for speaking with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, Kushagra. Let's start by talking about the company. Where did the idea for this come about? I notice you and your co-founders are largely engineers. So where did you decide that this was perhaps an idea that you could also make money off?
The idea came out when in 2015, WHO tagged Delhi as the most polluted city in the world. And two of our co-founders out of the three founders are born and brought up in Delhi. So we were very, very alarmed by this statistic. And also there was a study which said that out of the close to 45 lakh students in Delhi, more than half of them were growing up with irreversible lung damage. So that was alarming news for us, and that is essentially when we started looking into the problem. And we figured out that particulate matter, or the black carbon that comes out of diesel engines and combustion of fossil fuels, is a major health scare. And that is when we started looking at, what are the various sources and what are the various technologies available. And we figured out that for developing countries like India, there are very few technologies that are actually effective in reducing these particulate matter emissions. And that is how the whole idea triggered. The exact idea came out to Arpit, who's the CTO, when he was having sugarcane juice in Gurgaon at a roadside stall. So these sugarcane juice, they use small diesel engines to power the crushers. So this particular diesel engine, its exhaust was facing a wall, and that wall had turned black. And that is how the idea came into existence, that since this pollution can turn a wall black, why don't we try and do this intentionally? And so we started iterating on how to capture it, and then how to utilize this captured pollution into turning walls black.
Okay, but how did you know that this was an idea that would help you make money as entrepreneurs?
So honestly, when we started, we didn't. Honestly, when we started, it was only the problem. And what we wanted to do as young, enthusiastic engineers, we wanted to figure out a problem. And of course, what we believed in, that if you're solving a relevant problem, you'll find a way to make money out of it, be it through the end customer, be it through government support, be it through something else. Because essentially, entrepreneurship is not about making money, it's about solving problems. And when you solve problems, what you have to do is you have to find people who are willing to pay you for solving that particular problem. So what I would suggest, and this is advice for every young entrepreneur as well, that rather than focusing on a business model, at least in the initial stage, focus on ensuring that the problem that you're solving is a real one. So if the problem that you're solving is a real one, you'll figure out ways to make money out of it.
Okay, so let's then talk about your revenue model. Since we've been talking money, the purpose of the business, of course, any business at the end of the day is to make money. What's your revenue model like?
So our current revenue model is that the device that you're making, essentially the equipment which captures pollution without affecting the diesel engine in any way. So we're selling that equipment essentially to large corporations and institutions which have presence in remote areas and have a huge reliance on diesel generators to provide power backup. So our current revenue model is a sale of the equipment, and then the ink that we make out of the byproduct, essentially that is used to essentially write off the maintenance cost of the equipment. Because the ink that we are making, we are able to monetize that, and there's no running expense that the end customer has to pay. So that is the current revenue model. The equipment qualifies for certain tax benefits by Ministry of Commerce, Government of India, and certain other ratings by CII. So we are Green Pro rated essentially. Okay. So there are certain tax benefits associated with buying the equipment as well.
Okay, so you're saying large institutions. You just said large institutions, and I want to pick up on that. When you started approaching companies to talk about your product and sell them the idea, where did you find the most interest coming in from? Have a lot of small entrepreneurs, have a lot of MSMEs sort of been open to the idea? And if not, through our show, maybe if we can talk to our viewers about how large the problem really is, what they can do when it comes to doing their bit for the environment, and what perhaps are the economic benefits for small businesses by using products like yours.
Sure. So I'll start with the first question. So initially we saw traction coming from large corporations, mainly MNCs, and very surprisingly, people pursue that, PSUs or government sector undertakings are usually very slow and are not the first ones to adopt that any new technology. What we have seen on the field is contradictory to that. Essentially, the large PSUs, especially in the oil and gas sector, we have seen that they're very willing to adopt new technologies, which can essentially help them, promote their business in whatever way. But then these PSUs are early adopters, and again, to any entrepreneur, I would suggest them that, private sector corporations, of course, go for it, but don't ignore the public sector undertakings as well, because they could be the initial adopters, and these are very huge corporations who can promote you in a large way.
I was also asking you about whether there are any economic benefits for small businesses which want to use a product like yours.
Sure. So in terms of economic benefits, one is of course the health and the environment impact. Secondly, in terms of economic benefit, as I mentioned, that the technology qualifies for certain tax benefits. There's certain states that have also given subsidies, not for our product, but for technologies like ours. So it qualifies for that as well. And of course, there's certain sensitive economic zones where you need to maintain certain level of emissions. And if people are not able to do that, they're not able to establish their presence in those areas. So we help our customers reach out to markets that they were earlier not able to reach out to.
Okay, we started this conversation with you saying that two of your co-founders are from Delhi and therefore you've based your business there. Are you working with the state governments? Are you working maybe, for instance, with the Delhi government to be able to popularize this product?
Yes, so there's a grant by University of Chicago. It's essentially even DPCC, which is Delhi Pollution Control Committee, and Delhi government was also a part of the selection committee. So it was given by the Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Manish Sisodia. So we were one of the 3 companies who won that grant, and essentially it's a research study that we are doing jointly with the University of Chicago, in which we have deployed our technology at certain places, and then there's certain places where our technology is not present. Other than that, we have been very closely working with the Delhi government on what are the other ways to promote our technology as well.
Okay, so speaking of the government, you've been awarded as one of the champions of change by the government of India. What was that process like? What does this now mean for you as a company when it comes to your future roadmap as well?
So there are various platforms on which we've been recognized by the government of India at the state level as well as the national level. Champions of Change by Honorable Prime Minister was one such campaign. Other than that, we were also a recognized startup by Government of India, and we were also among the top 10, top 15 startups that were given various other tax benefits, etc. by the government. So again, the way to reach out to these platforms is that we've been awarded by FICCI, IIT Delhi, and various other government institutions. So that is how we gained the initial recognition. And again, this government, the current government, is very focused on 2 things. One is intellectual property generation, and second is job creation. So if there's any business that has huge potential to either create IP that can be licensed to other countries and the country ultimately benefits, and which has huge potential to create jobs on the field, the government will find ways to promote such businesses, because in a country like India, businesses like these are going to be the future.
Sure. I want to talk about the larger piece as far as innovation is concerned. A lot of small businesses tell us that they're so caught up with just working capital requirements, for instance, that there isn't enough focus going into R&D, there isn't enough focus going into innovation. As someone who's built your entire business out of innovating, out of coming up with that big idea, what do you think is possibly going to encourage more small businesses to innovate?
Sure. So see, innovation is something that businesses need to understand, and again, that is something that the West has done really well, is that there's no business and innovation. You have to integrate that and make that a core principle of your business. Which doesn't happen, unfortunately, in India till date, but what we have seen is that things will change in the near future. So what you need to understand, that innovation needs to be built as a culture to an organization. You cannot say that, I do not have funds, and when I'll have funds, I'll allocate 10% of that towards R&D. That kind of mindset doesn't work, because then essentially you'll be so caught up in your daily activities that you'll never have that 10% to go into R&D. So what you have to do is that you have to build R&D into the culture. So essentially, that is a mindset shift that we have seen has initiated happening on the ground, and hopefully soon it will catch up throughout the nation, and we'll have more innovative products coming out of India as well.
So there's some bit of being a social enterprise as well, as far as you're concerned. And the reason I ask you that is because a lot of social enterprises tell us not only is it difficult to make money, it's also difficult to raise money. Have you raised money? What was the experience like? Was it difficult for you to convince people that this was a business that you could raise funds for? How much have you raised, and what's the future roadmap like?
Sure. So again, initially, like for any company, be it any sector, raising money initially is a challenge, especially getting that first round in is a huge barrier. But then once you get that in and you perform, of course, there's people who will be willing to fund you further to take the business further. So till date, we have raised 2 rounds of funding. And till date, in both combined grants and equity funding, we have raised close to 10 crore rupees.
All right, one last question then, as we finish up this interview. I want to understand from you, what is next? In the next 2-3 years, what do you have planned?
Sure. So in next 2-3 years, one is of course R&D, and we want to develop the technology further. For that, we have various industrial collaborations, the most prominent of them being with the Indian Oil Corporation. So they've given us a grant of around 2.6 crore rupees, in which we are working with them at one of their refineries to develop this technology further for their boilers, which are used in refineries extensively. And second is of course the current technology for diesel generators. We want to spread it across the country, across states, which are, cities in Delhi, cities in India, not just Delhi. Although Delhi gets a lot of focus for air pollution, the air quality in other cities is also worsening. So you want to rapidly scale this technology up, spread it to other cities across India as well, and improve the air quality.
Okay, in fact, research on your own website that I was reading said 10 of the top 20 most polluted cities are in India.
Yes, that's unfortunately true.
Thank you, Chakr, very much for coming on the show and talking to us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Time for a break. On the other side, we'll feature PeeSafe. That's coming up on Small Giants. You're back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight on Small Giants, we're putting PeeSafe in focus. Sanitation and hygiene when a woman uses a public toilet is always top of mind, and doing its bit, at least for women in urban India, is PeeSafe. Karishma Manjani caught up with this company to understand some of the products and solutions that they have when it comes to toilet sanitation and hygiene. Take a look.
Oh God, please don't let it be a hellhole. Ew, why Lord, why me? How many people must have peed in here? Don't touch anything, don't touch anything, don't touch anything. Here we go. Why is the seat still wet? Is that pee on the floor? I wish I don't contract any infections. I wonder how many people touch this toilet, yeah? God, don't ever make me do that again.
Just like me, do you too fear creepy germs lurking on your toilet seat? Well, your fear is justified. Public toilets are the leading source of hepatitis A, B and E. They also contribute to urinary tract infection, that's UTI, amongst majority of Indian women. Now, contributing to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and Make in India initiative is a startup we feature today, PeeSafe.
PeeSafe is working towards the goal of making the act of being safe for women. Based in Delhi, this startup with their range of products ensures a germ-free toilet seat and a safe toilet experience.
So Vikas, welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow. What made you build PeeSafe? How did you decide to address a problem that women face worldwide?
You know, when my wife suffered from UTI in one of the road trip, it gave us an idea that for every toilet seat, we have to have a sanitizer. I think that is how, and I know that there was a potential problem across. UTI is a problem. That is how PeeSafe is here.
So while there's plenty of bathroom phobia amongst women of all ages, I want to understand if there's even a market for such kind of product, and if yes, how large is it?
No, there's no market for that when we started it. It's a new category which we created. So PeeSafe is one of its kind in the world. When it's created now, people are noticing it. We never know how big the category can be, right? I believe anyone who uses a toilet, either at home, office, malls or anywhere, they have to use a sanitized toilet. I think PeeSafe has a huge opportunity globally to become a great category in itself.
Okay, so I understand it's a niche market, but eventually startups in any market are built to generate profits. How have your sales numbers looked like on both online and offline channels?
You know, and I can tell you about the last 3 quarters. We sold more than 5 lakh units with 50% repeat buyers. 20% of our sales comes from online, 80% from offline, because we have built up a strong offline distribution network with visibility.
So as we are talking about sales here, let's also talk about the tie-ups that you've had with major corporates. What has outperformed the other, the B2B or the B2C space?
PeeSafe is a B2C product, but B2B will definitely give us good mileage, good returns and good sales and the volumes. I think that is the reason we will definitely want to focus on B2B, where there is a huge population of females in the corporates. Now, the idea is to make them aware of the product, and if they start using the product in their offices, in their homes, they become habituated of using it. So I think B2B we will be focusing a lot. But if you compare B2B to B2C, at this moment for the next 2 years, I think B2C will be much higher than B2B.
Because let's highlight on the unit economics out here. Have they been positive? Essentially, have you been profitable?
Company as a whole, no, because we have a high marketing spend and we have a team as well. We are building up, we are revamping. But from the product side, every product we sell, we make money, because it's a product and it's not a cloud-based something like that where you have to acquire customer. But we do spend a lot on awareness, which is marketing and sales activity. So in total, yes, the company is not profitable.
So because as we're talking about awareness here, I want to understand what PeeSafe is doing to create more awareness about female hygiene within the semi-urban and urban communities.
You know, this particular vertical needs to have a great awareness, and we have created 3 properties around it. We have a Pee Room conversation program, we have a PeeSafe sanitized washroom program, we have a school awareness program. What we do in all these different chapters which we have created is creating awareness that why hygiene is important, why sanitized washroom is important, and of course our online reach, educate people through videos, through examples that how an unsanitized washroom can lead to many diseases, especially UTI. And I think these awareness program is helping people to understand why a workplace hygiene, why a public hygiene, and why a personal hygiene is important.
So PeeSafe does have a social cause attached to it, and with any kind of social entrepreneurship comes the role of government. So how has government supported this cause?
See, government is doing a lot of stuff on female hygiene. A lot of movies are being built around female hygiene, right from Toilet Prem Katha to Pad Ban, and government is really working hard on the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, building up the toilets. If toilets are there, people will start using it. Our role will come on the second stage when those toilets needs to be clean or sanitized. So I think both of us are going on hand in hand. No, they have not funded us, but they are creating an infrastructure around us where a product like PeeSafe can be used.
So there's been no direct support from the government. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think the direct hand there's none, but they are building up infrastructure. If they build up toilets, of course, a toilet seat sanitizer will sell to the maximum.
Talk to our viewers and talk to our MSMEs out there. What are the few tips that they should keep in mind to gain investors' attention?
I think any investor will look for those kind of products which can give them an exit. So if you are creating a product which can lead to an IPO or which can lead to a great exit for the investor, I think you have made a business. So let's build up a business rather than build up a bubble.
So Vikas, before we let you go, you've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years. I definitely want to ask you about, let's say, the mergers and acquisitions that you've seen. They've been there for the big companies, let's say a Snapdeal or a Myntra, but a lot of MSMEs nowadays are going down that road. You yourself have had a strategic tie-up with Redcliffe. Talk to our viewers about that.
No, absolutely. When you are a startup, you do a lot of mistakes. You take a lot of calls which you don't know actually. And once you have your vision, your goal fixed on something very important, and you want to build up a category, you have to take a call. I think that's the important call when we do the Redcliffe acquisition into the PeeSafe into Redcliffe. And I think all startups should look into at one point or the other that if they want to grow, what is good for them.
So you're going big, but success is gained in inches and not in miles. So what's the road ahead to success looking like, and what are your future goals?
You know, the immediate future goal is to create awareness globally that PeeSafe is a brand out of India, and it's a generic term for a toilet seat sanitizer spray. And one thing which I always tell everyone is celebrate exit and not funding. And if you stop looking into fundings and start building up a business and enterprise, I think you will get the success one day or the other.
So don't change the way you pee. Stop squatting and hovering and adopt a safer approach. Vote for a clean, sanitized bathroom because using one is your right.
Out of time in this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any questions for us, do remember you can always write in. leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com is our email ID. On Twitter, tweet at me at Sunanda_J or LOT_ET now. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good night.